Hey guys, welcome to my channel where I talk all things side hustling, entrepreneurship, and small business optimization. So I'm really about being as authentic and transparent with you guys as possible. That's why I really try and give examples from my own life, and I really try and be as specific as possible. The reason being, there's no point in me having this YouTube channel, spending hours creating all this content if I'm not adding value. And I think there's so many different ways to add value. There's not one right way to do it or a wrong way to do it, but I think one of the most beneficial ways in your own life is by learning from your mistakes or the mistakes of people around you. So I really just had that in mind, and I wanted to kind of extend that to my channel and share with you guys some of my failures or the mistakes that I've made. Because the reality is, I think you learn so much more from a hard loss than an easy win. Hit the like button if you agree with that statement. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys a moment that was a huge learning opportunity for me, which was when I started an Amazon white label brand and it wasn't successful. So before we jump into things, make sure you subscribe or like this video. As a small YouTuber, it helps me more than you could imagine. Also, towards the end of this video, I'm going to be totally transparent and let you guys know if selling on Amazon, especially during 2020, is something that I would recommend. So make sure you hang around till the very end to get my thoughts on that. So for those of you that don't know, white labeling a product is when you get a product from a manufacturer that they're already selling to other businesses or maybe directly to consumers, and all you're really doing is rebranding it and repackaging it under a different brand name. So again, the product isn't something that's unique to you. You might add some sort of differentiating feature to it, but ultimately it's a product that somebody doesn't have to get from you. There are tons of other sellers selling it as well. And your job when you're white labeling a product is really to create the brand around it. And we see so many examples of white label products in our everyday life. Like there are a ton of eyelash companies or a ton of yoga mats or a bunch of backpacks that really the only difference between me selling the product and somebody else selling the product is our brand. Like the product is the exact same. It's probably even coming from the same manufacturer. So one of the biggest reasons why I failed at selling on Amazon is because of marketing costs. When you're selling a white label product on Amazon, your job is to be the marketer. So you gotta market. Other people are already selling the exact same product as you. So people typically put money into one of two buckets when it comes to their marketing efforts. It's either they're working on driving traffic from outside of Amazon to Amazon. So for example, this could be through Facebook or Instagram ads or money put into generating mailing lists. The other option is that they're spending money to drive traffic from within Amazon to their Amazon listing. So that's typically done through Amazon ads. I was using a combination of kind of both of these, but guys, let me tell you, those Amazon ads, they add up quickly when you are not prepared for those sort of costs. And again, the additional challenge is it's when you're not making that much money or any money is when your cost of customer acquisition is the highest, because customers aren't as familiar with your product, you might not have as many reviews, you haven't built up like that trust and that loyalty with the customer yet. So initially it's harder to convert them into a buyer. It's only once you've established yourself in all these areas that that cost hopefully comes down, and for every dollar you're spending on marketing, you are hopefully making it back tenfold. But again, I really just wanted to flag this because for the vast majority of people, you need to factor in just how expensive it's going to be to acquire customers during the early days. And I mean like that number that you have in your head that you think you'll be spending on Amazon ads or other forms of advertising, it's probably going to be a lot higher than that initially. So by the way, guys, I'm going to be developing a lot of free resources around some of the key performance indicators or KPIs that I talk about in this video. They're going to be really important for anybody who is selling on Amazon, thinking of selling on Amazon, or just interested in developing a small, particularly product-based business. So if you're interested in being the first to get those free resources, make sure you hit the link down below. So the second point that it's really closely tied to the first is giving away product for free or at a very reduced cost. So it is a very common practice for people who sell on Amazon to give away their product for free or almost free in exchange for reviews. Now, why do people do this and why is it important? Because on a platform like Amazon, reviews are key. Especially, like I mentioned, if you're white labeling and there's no strong differentiation between you and other people who are selling the exact same product. The only difference for a customer is literally your packaging, your logo, and the reviews. And people who actively sell on Amazon really don't ever address this. They usually tiptoe around it or avoid talking about it at all because it's not allowed. So Amazon totally prohibits getting a product in exchange for reviews. They consider this incentivized reviews, and they can even shut down somebody's listing or entire seller account if they find out that they're participating in this sort of activity. The reality is, if nobody is doing it, how are there hundreds of Facebook groups dedicated to getting free product in exchange for reviews, or websites that exist solely for the purpose of selling your product at a deeply discounted rate? Leaving a review is not explicitly mentioned, but of course it's implied and expected. So I actually don't even think there's anything wrong with the tactic. I actually think it's 1,000 times worse on Instagram with influencer marketing. But the question isn't whether it's right or wrong. That doesn't even matter, to be honest. Just know that it's a really common practice to at least deeply discount your product so that hopefully your product will rank. Helping your product rank within the first couple pages on Amazon is critical to eventually getting more sales, more reviews, and establishing yourself kind of longer term on the platform. Now, the reason why this is important is because you will burn money like crazy if you don't prepare for it. If you don't prepare to sell like a fourth of your inventory for almost nothing, then it's obviously really gonna hurt your cash flow. Because one thing you might not be taking into account is Amazon FBA fees. So Amazon charges you once a sale is made an Amazon fee per unit. So that's the cost for them to store the product, to package it, and kind of it builds in all those operational costs of them doing the fulfillment for you. So let's say Amazon is charging you FBA fees of $5 per unit, and you're getting your product from your manufacturer for $4 per unit. And on top of that, you're spending $2 to get it shipped into the country and deal with customs and that sort of stuff. And now remember, you're spending an additional $2 per unit on FBA fees or some sort of advertising per unit. And now you're selling your product for $1.99 to get it to rank or to get reviews or that sort of thing. That means it's actually costing you $11 every single time a sale is made. And you're selling dozens, if not hundreds of products at this loss. Like, just do that math there. So this is what I mean by you really need to prepare for these things and build these costs out into your models to establish if this is even a viable product. Now, there's actually nothing wrong with taking a loss on a product for a certain period of time. It's a very common practice for a lot of retailers, but you need to be able to recoup these costs eventually. That's why it's just something I really want to flag and really want to emphasize that you guys need to be prepared for it. I was definitely not, and it's one of the reasons why I failed at Amazon. Now, another reason why I was not successful at Amazon FBA selling is because mentally I had already prepared myself for failure. So when I first started selling, I told myself and people close to me that it was just an experiment and I was just gonna see how it goes. Like, guys, with that mentality, I was already setting myself up for failure. I was already preparing myself to be crushed by the blow of it not working out. Therefore, I already thought I was not going to be successful and it wasn't going to work out. There are certain things that are just really straightforward in life, especially when it comes to business, which is if you do not believe in yourself, your product, your brand, your business, nobody else will. Do not preemptively condition yourself for failure. Reposition your mind to be resilient and for success. This was a huge learning that I took out of my entire Amazon FBA selling experience. Like guys, when I do anything now, I walk into it with such a different mentality. It's not this mentality of, this is just an experiment, this is just a project that I'm working on. No, this is something that I'm actively putting a lot of effort into, and I'm putting all this effort into it because I think I'm going to be successful at it. For me, there's just no other way to even think about different endeavors that I'm working on. It's going to work, it's going to be successful, and I might have to reposition myself, pivot, re-strategize, and that's fine. But ultimately, I need to push through and keep working on it. So another big learning that came out of Amazon FBA for me when it comes to dealing with physical products, and something that you guys really need to be aware of, is damages and returns. And I'm not even talking about like defects once it gets to the customer and them returning it back to Amazon's facility. I'm actually talking about damages from when the manufacturer ships it to when it arrives at Amazon's warehouse. And the reason why this is something so important that you need to factor in is because let's say you have 200 units that you're getting from a manufacturer. If you are building out the cost models and you're planning to sell a fourth at a really discounted rate, but you're gonna recoup that loss with the other third of inventory being sold at the rate that you intend to actually sell it at, all your costing and all your modeling is assuming that you're going to have 200 units of products to sell. And I just really want to flag to you guys that just because you order 200 units from the manufacturer, it does not mean that 200 units will show up at Amazon's warehouse in sellable condition. Now, the industry average is that around 2% of products that are shipped are completely damaged during their transportation journey. As high as 11% of products may experience some sort of case damage. And when we're talking about case damage, we're basically talking about damage that's to the outside case. So for example, like let's say the box that the product comes in, but the actual product inside is fine and can still function. But again, if you're white labeling a product, and that only differentiation between you and a competitor is your packaging and your branding and how good the product looks, then it's just not a great customer experience for that to be damaged. And guys, this is just kind of the nature of dealing with products and logistics and all that sort of stuff. That's why in logistics, the chain of custody, meaning who owns the product at different stages in its transportation journey, so whether it's on the boat, on the train, or on the truck, is really, really important. And being able to kind of navigate that paperwork and speak to it is pretty essential. Now, with all of these things kind of laid out there and said, would I still recommend Amazon FBA as a viable option for sellers in 2020? And the answer is yes. Ultimately, guys, Amazon is just another channel for you to reach your audience, for you to reach customers. The most important thing is really doing the work ahead of time, making sure you have a solid product, but more importantly, crunching the numbers, doing the work, really understanding the concepts, and having backup plans for any area of opportunity like some of the ones that I mentioned in this video. So guys, if you got any value from this video, make sure you subscribe down below, like, or drop a comment. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you next Sunday when I drop my next video. Bye.